careful of those island boys. Little girl, use your head. They will tear you up like a paper toy. Oh, no, no, no. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, no, no, no.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Rumbi.
Welcome to It's Layered.
We're in a long-distance friendship that started over 20 years ago when we were in high school.
We'll be talking about all things life, love, family, anything and everything else under the sun.
Delve deeper with us because in life, you know, Gine, my layers.
Oh, no, no, no. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of It's Layered. And today we have a very, very special guest. We're really hyped to have her on here. For any of you, okay, let me do the bye. I'm getting ahead of myself, But we have Sarel Madziya on social media. You may know her as Coco Sarel. And she is a content creator. Content about her hilarious dating antics continues to be a viral hit for her across both TikTok and Instagram, such as her iconic Love Island UK debrief videos. If you haven't seen them, you should check them out.
I didn't even watch Love Island. I just listened to you.
Just listen to the debriefs, bruh. It has garnered over 3 million views. She's a trained actor. Okay, give her flowers. Sarel is now also finding success as a presenter, interviewing and hosting at the UK premiere of Wakanda Forever, Black Panther, hosting the TikTok end of year 2022 party, and leading a panel interviewing the stars of the amazing movie, The Woman King, at the premiere.
Yeah, we have seen you working many red carpets, looking amazing, by the way, most notably as the BFI, that's the British Film Institute Film Festival, Disney's Lightyear premiere, and Sony's Bullet Train. In 2022, Sarel, you starred in a one-woman play, give this woman the flowers, called Funeral Flowers by Emma Dennis Edwards, which appeared across venues across the UK, including the Nottingham Playhouse and the Liverpool Everyman. We welcome you to our podcast. We're so excited, Sarel. So happy to have you.
I'm so excited to be here. Oh my goodness. Like, guys, I just, you know, like when you talk to other like Zim women, I'm like, this is what it's about. Like when you guys emailed, I can't tell you how much I screamed because our industry lacks. We need more creatives from my background. Like, you know, it's just, so when I find them, I'm like, I'm grabbing on and I'm not letting go. Sorry.
Oh, it's a love fest all around. Like you should have seen our Kiki before we cracked the mics. Like it was great. So we're wholeheartedly thankful that you could be here. And you know, before we get too hyped, let's backtrack a little bit. Let's take them back. And could you tell us a little bit about how your journey towards being a content creator, influencer, actress came about? Can you tell us, you know, a little bit about that?
I would say I've always known I was a creative, and I grew up in a house where my parents didn't quite understand that. And especially during like secondary school, how can I put it? I was really good with certain subjects, and then other subjects I just wasn't good at. And if I wasn't good at them, I wasn't putting the time or the effort in. So I remember we were picking our GCSEs and I was saying to my parents, I really want to do drama. And obviously the question is, how will you get a job? Where will you work?
You're not going to be a doctor or a lawyer?
Imagine. And bear in mind, I'm telling two parents, one who is like an economist, what is it?
Economist.
Yeah. And the other one is a nurse. So
they're not going to get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My mom and dad were like, ma'am, no. But it took some time to get to the point of them like being like, okay, maybe this is something she's being very serious about. And when I put my head to something, I'm very stubborn. Like I'm not budging. I will perfect that craft to the best of my abilities. So I did that GCSE A-level. A-level, my mum convinced me to do law. I will never forgive that woman for doing that to me. Because, no, girls, no.
She was like, let me just try one more time.
My mum convinced me to do law. I failed that exam so hard. It was painful. Like, it was very embarrassing. And my dad had to pull me down. He was like, listen, maybe this isn't for you. Maybe let's stick.
Should have been like, I told you. I don't know what you want me to say.
We done had this conversation, so I don't know. But yeah, I think that's when they realized, like, okay, let's just let her do what she's good at and she enjoys. And then I went to uni and I did like media and performance, which was kind of on-screen and off-screen training. I went to drama school and I focused on theatre, acting. And then I jumped into the industry as an actress, which 80% of the time you're just auditioning, and then 20% of the time you actually have work, which is hard. Yeah. The industry doesn't have many girls that look like me. And when they do look like you, you're all in the same audition room for the same roles every single time. Yeah. Exactly. And then you get typecast. My body type, I'm a very curvaceous Zim woman. Like, you know, you start getting put up for roles that start to affect you because you're like, I know I'm more than this, but I'm being put into a hole that, you know. So, I mean, they're all growing pains, and that's what your early 20s are for. You're learning, you're growing. And then I decided to move back home because London was just not for me. And I was like, this is too much. My mental health is debilitating. Mama, open the door, let me get back. So I went back home to open arms. My parents were very welcoming. And I worked a 9-to-5 job. And then I helped my parents set up a business. Like, I was doing quite a few things that weren't creative. Anyways, pandemic hits. When pandemic hits, I had just secured a 3-month acting job, which would have been my like first job after taking this break. So I was just really down when the pandemic hit, and I was like, oh, like, this is the last thing I need. Like, I've just sort of got back into the groove. And my parents were just like, everything happens for a reason. Like, don't, you know, just chill out. And I was like, okay, cool. Anyways, one day, my little sister, she was 11 at the time, 12. Yeah. She has TikTok, and she's like, oh, download TikTok and we can learn dances together. And I'm like, cool, I'm down with being the kids. I want to be youthful. Like, cool, you know, let's revive my youth. Sure, I'll work one beat. And then we downloaded this app. And before I knew it, I was like obsessed. And I'm like watching content. And the more I watch it, the more I'm like, I have an opinion on that. And I have an opinion on that. And there's something I want to say on that. So my content actually started off very political. It was the height of like the 2020 protest, George Floyd situation. And I just felt like it was a great place for me to share my voice without pressure. No one who I knew followed me. I didn't follow anyone but my little sister. It was just, I'll put it on. If anyone sees it, they see it. If they don't, c'est la vie. The world's about to end anyway. So what's the worst that can happen? Whatevs. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's bigger things in the world that are happening. And then content just started to gain views and likes, shares, comments. And I think I still, to this day, I'm kind of blown away by how it's all panned out in a really short space of time. Yeah. And I'm ever so grateful to God. And like, I can't stress that enough. Like, I don't take any milestone, big or small, for granted. But yeah, that's how content started happening. And then from content, I'm getting presenting gigs. I'm getting like, it's just been one thing after another. But yeah, that's kind of the journey. It's been a long one, but that's been the creative journey.
But isn't that beautiful? Because you're saying it all just kind of happened so fast, but like all that time before was the groundwork and the preparation for you. Because I think, Amanda, you and I have spoken about this before, how an opportunity can come and you know someone, and it came and they had their 15 minutes of fame, and then they didn't have anything to fall back on, or there was nothing there to kind of keep them going, the train going. It kind of was like, oh, stop, you know, and stop, sorry. So that's so great. I remember the first TikTok, I think we were actually
talking about that. What's the first TikTok you remember?
That I distinctly remember, Sarel, was when you were talking to the Zimbabwean aunties about commenting on your bodies.
Yes.
I remember I was just like, can you say that a little louder, please? Because nobody asked you. You know, some of us grew up, some of us were tormented all the time. Every comment about your body. So absolutely
Definitely.
love that. Yeah.
The algorithm must have been working well with that one, because I think we all Zoom people were like, we saw that. Yes.
Yeah. And it did like rounds in like Facebook groups, on WhatsApp. My mum's friends were texting her like, your daughter. And I was like,
Sarel, what is she doing these days?
And my mum was like, you're offending my friends. I was like, if the shoe fits, wear it, ma'am. Like,
yeah.
That's all I gotta say, you know?
Yeah.
For sure.
But you know, that just speaks to how relatable you are, because the girls that get it, we got it. Like, we're all like, yeah, man. Like, you said it so, it looked like, sheesh. Yeah, you just spoke to us. We're all like, that's why we shared it, because but you know, I was listening to your podcast and you were talking about how in the UK, especially, you don't want to be boxed in as one thing. And obviously, when you're someone like you, who's a multi-hyphenate with acting, presenting, content creation, comedian, what do you think for you is like how you describe yourself first? If someone says Sarel is?
Oh, God, a child of God.
Like, why are we getting deep this quickly? We're delving deeper, Sarel. No, we have to go there.
Okay, what would I say I am? I would say I'm an actress. That's the first one I would say. Just because that has been my dream since I was like 10 years old. And until I see myself otherwise, I'll always see myself as an actress first. All this other stuff, don't get me wrong, I love it and I enjoy doing it, but I've put the work in. You know, they say it like takes 10,000 hours to be good at, like, I know I put the work in. Whereas other people can look at content and be like, oh, you know, it was just a viral moment. But with my acting, I know, like, there was blood, sweat, tears that went into that. So an actress is what I would say.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you have, like, you keep going, like you're saying, things keep happening and happening because, you know, you have a craft that you've honed. It seems easy when we see it. We're just like, but it's like, you know, it's, you know, it really is a craft. And how would you say, I think you spoke about your parents and their reaction to your chosen field or path, but other friends or family, how has that reaction been around Sarel pursuing this kind of, what do you mean industry? What is a content creator? Like, how do you even define that to some of these people? Do you get what I mean? So how have they perceived that, especially within, you know, the Zim circles and you being of Zimbabwean heritage? How what's that been like?
You know, honestly, I think overall very supportive.
Okay.
They don't know what I'm doing. Let's just be honest. I'm going to put that out there. They have no idea what my job description is. They don't know. I don't have a bedroom. I can't put out, and I'm like, okay, that's one way to describe it. Yeah.
So, I do be in my bedroom. I do.
I do be talking in my room. Yeah, you right. But yeah, I think they don't fully get it. But I think, you know, it's crazy. The marker of success within the Zim family, and I can only speak for mine, is usually like money or accolades, right?
Yes, speak on it.
Yeah, if you're making money or if you're getting the awards, then you are successful. Or if people in the community deem you as successful, then you are successful. And I think I had to like reshape a lot of my aunties and uncles' views on success and allow them to see that I've set personal goals for myself. And just because you may not deem them as successful, to me, that is a marker of success for me. And, you know, it's a constant journey. Luckily, there's quite a few creatives in my family. So we're all hitting from different angles. Some are singers, some are rappers, some are content creators, some are, you know, we're all from different angles and this kind of younger generation. But I would say overall, it has been positive. And I think the day when my mum realized I wasn't going to be asking her for rent, my mum was like, my daughter is Jesus.
My job here is done. Yeah.
So 100%. I was like, as long as you're happy, mother, I'm happy. Yeah.
I always think of Yvonne Orji. She speaks on her journey with her parents, like how her parents were like, you want to be a jester. and just like until they saw the fruits, and those being financial or physical, you know, fruits, they were like, okay, now they're at the shows. Like, that's my daughter, you know?
And they'll be like, I was there since the beginning. Like, you're like, don't
the
you worry
loudest
about it.
in
Okay.
the room. My mum will be, and while I'm collecting my item, I'm like, damn, mama.
I mean, you said that you felt like TikTok happened by chance, but did you always have a calling in your heart to have a huge following? Did you always think, I've got something to say and people need to hear it?
Huge following, no. I get scared actually with huge following.
Okay.
Me and Holly's my manager. We have this thing where sometimes I'll put a video on Instagram and I'll message her and I'll be like, okay, it's got quite a lot of views. I'm logging out. I'll be back in 3 days. Because I feel like, I don't know, I can't describe the pressure, but it's almost like off of that one video, maybe you should go watch like 7 others, then you can figure out if you want to follow me. Because sometimes I'm like, I don't know if it's justified. And I don't know if that's problematic within me, that I feel like that. I don't know, therapy, whatever. Anyways, but yeah, I for huge following, no, but I have always felt like I can add something to a conversation, and not because I think I'm wise, but because I think I ask the right questions. I've always been very inquisitive, and I think they make the best conversations, the best teaching moments. So yeah, I've always felt like I can add something to a conversation, but never for like, you know, large scale.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's
like
quite interesting.
Talks,
you spoke about it with on your podcast. We'll go into her podcast later, but like you were talking about it, about how, you know, people see you and they think, oh, she must be so outgoing and like such a people person, and like, you know, you just want to like talk to everybody, but how there's this like anxiety that comes with social anxiety you were talking about. And it was very interesting. And I think often as performers, people think they don't realize you are a performer because you are a performer. Like it's part of it, like bringing this character out. It doesn't necessarily mean you live that 24/7. It's you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and I think especially with platforms like TikTok, where it's so unfiltered, you know what I mean? Like people feel like you really are my sister, you really are my, so they'll step up to you like, oh, do you know what you were saying? You're like, when did I say that? Like, I don't remember what I was saying. Like, I don't know if you ever really, but like Rimby and I, even with the podcast, where people always like, I remember what you said then, and you're like, what did I say? I need to timestamp that and go and listen back, you know, because it's like, and then you don't want to like not honor the moment for the person, but at the same time, you're like, this makes you anxious because you're like, you always have to, almost always have to be on to receive that, you know?
Yeah, and
so it's quite tough.
I think as well with like social anxiety, there's layers. So sometimes it's like super high, it's peak, like I'm not going to events, I'm staying in my house, like even answering the phone, like please, I'm trying to sort myself out, right? But then there's other moments where, and this is how I know, like especially people who follow me, like the OG followers, like the ones who really know me, they'll come up to me, because I've always said, like, if you're gonna come up to me, please don't do the whole like, I'll freak out. Please don't do that. Please come up to me and be like, girl, what do you think about Love Island? Girl, remember that time? Like, let it just be like, we met last week and we were having coffee and now we're meeting again in Tesco's. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's how I think that relationship works best for me. And again, it's all very new. It's under 3 years. So I'm also navigating that space. And I'm like, please give me grace. Like, I promise you, it's never the feeling of like, I never want to come across as rude, because that's never the intention. But I'm awkward, you know? So sometimes it may, do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's really weird. And I think most creatives are like it. I don't know. I've found most people I've been around in social settings who are creatives have that fear of like you're saying, you just always have to be on. So if somebody comes to you on a day when you're not on, you feel like you're giving them like not the best version of it's
it's weird. So weird. I mean, even Beyonce got to be Sasha Fierce, you know, like you got to turn it out. So like I'm not suffering today, okay?
Let me be
peace, people.
Exactly.
But that definitely then breeds the question, how do you manage your public persona and your private life, do you feel sometimes the lines can get blurred, or you've been very intentional to separate the two for yourself?
Yeah, no, I've got hard boundaries. My boundaries is hard, thick, and fast. And I'll tell you why. In life in general, I've always had boundaries. You know, like, for example, when you work a 9 to 5 and then people are like, oh, we're like a family here. Becky, I meet you at 9, I clock out at 5. And I love you during those hours, but outside of them hours, I don't know you, ma'am. No, we're not that comfortable. Nope. And I think people get really offended, or they feel like it's rude to put those boundaries in. But I think it creates clarity for me.
Yes.
And when I'm on social media and there's something I want to talk about, I know I've processed it. I know I've worked through it, or I know that it's something that I can get help from. Let's say I need advice from it from people who listen to me. That's one thing. And then my personal life, there have to be boundaries. There's got to be stuff that you keep to yourself. Also, for example, like my family, they didn't sign up to be on social media. My friends didn't sign up to be on social media. Like, so even if I'm making a video, I'll always say, like, I'm about to record a video. If you don't want to be in it, move to that side of the room. And like, I will give an announcement, because I do understand, like, it's really, really difficult to just put people online. And to them, it's very weird to see comments about themselves, to see, you know, imagine people commenting on like my mom, my sister, and they're not used to that. I'm used to it now. This is my job. This is what I do. I know how to control and make sure I don't see certain stuff. But my mom doesn't necessarily understand that. My sister doesn't necessarily understand that. So I think boundaries are very, very needed. And I think the content creators who don't have boundaries are the ones who really, really suffer when it comes to their mental health, because you have no escape. Social media is your entire life. And I hate to say it, but social media ain't real.
Speak on that.
A little louder for those at the back,
please.
It's not real. It's, you know, you're seeing the highlight reel, you're seeing the
highlights.
I have decided to press post. If I don't press post, you're not seeing it. So there are certain things in your life that I think you should try your best, if you're in content, to just keep private. For me, it works, you know.
You know, it's so funny because this actually, Rimbi, I'm probably going to ask this question next because it feeds into it. How do you best remain authentic and handle negative feedback and comments? Because you just talked about that.
Oh my gosh. First of all, the word authentic, what does that mean?
Okay, all right, maybe let's start there.
Okay, let's break it down. I feel like I prefer the word maybe humble, because I feel like authentic implies that in other aspects of your life, you are maybe more or less real than you are online. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, I prefer the word, I think the word humble is like, you haven't allowed these external factors to
influence who you are.
Exactly.
The core of who you are.
Exactly. And that, honestly, as much as I come from my Zim aunties for talking about my body, it's my family and it's my friends, and their rawness, their realness, the way my mum can collect me and gather me. It's a work of art. My mum reads me to filth. Like, I remember once I was like, Mama, this video, it's got like 100,000 views. And she was like, but how much is in your bank account? I said, well.
Okay. Back to the
went for the jugular.
I said, well, okay, that's one way to deceased. So I think that helps. But also I'm very, I've got a really strong relationship with God, like being a Christian, being a child of God. I mean, I jest about it on the internet and stuff, but it honestly is the core and fiber of who I am. And I know for a fact, if I didn't have that relationship, that foundation with God, a lot of things would have swayed me in a different direction that I probably wouldn't like the version of myself. So yeah, I think those two things are like the pillars that keep me like grounded. As for like hate comments, I have a trick. So I post my video and then I close the whole app and I don't come back for about 2 or 3 hours. By then it's got a couple of of comments. I will like the first 3, 4, maybe 5, because they're usually the positive ones.
Yes.
After that, I ain't reading the comments. And I realized y'all talking to yourself, because and that's okay. Sometimes people just want to say stuff, and that's okay. But I am not gonna read it, because one day you will read something that will literally affect you for the next week, and I don't have a week to give up for a comment. There are certain videos where, let's say I'm talking about something slightly deeper, where I will read all the comments, because I'm trying to have that conversation with my like the community I've built. That's different. But sometimes I make polarizing videos. Like I talk about the government, I talk about race, I talk about. I made a video about the Queen. When I tell you my DMs were a shambles, oh my God. I said, Baba God. I said, Jehovah.
Not for this white woman. Why?
Bro, must I suffer for Elizabeth? Must I suffer for Elizabeth?
You are not
Who's in her
suffering
grave?
for Lizzie.
She sleep. She's gone. And you must suffer.
A shambles. I said I'm not going to my DMs, and I'm not looking at the comments of that video, because I know that the internet is a wild place. But that is how I have learned to like build barriers to protect myself. But yeah, also utilize the block button. That block button is good. Hallelujah! Shout out to the block button. The way my finger will click it with vim. Oh God, beautiful. Wow,
it is beautiful. And I think people don't realize, like, you know, social media. It's, if you compare it to your home, right? If someone is just bashing through your door and like talking, you wouldn't just keep opening the door for all sorts of riffraff. You keep coming and be like, oh, your house is this, you ain't doing this right. You just don't open the door, or just not even share the address. That's at block. They don't even know where you're at. So it absolutely makes sense. And I think it definitely exudes the mechanisms or the ways you're navigating. You can still get a true sense, like, this is Sarel, like we feel it, it's genuine. And I think that protecting of peace, and African parents always help. We did an episode on African parenting, how they can't compliment you, or the compliment is backhanded, and you're just like, geez, man, like, or they take the cred, and you're like, huh?
Or how about a sorry? Y'all ever heard a sorry?
Never. I don't think that word exists in their vocab.
I saw a TikTok. They were like, an African parent would rather mop the ocean before saying
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
Like, that's about right. That's about right.
I have never heard the word sorry. It's like, it's either a meal that I get, like, are you coming down for food? Man, we just had a disagreement.
No. Because are you?
You. But yeah, they will humble you. They will humble you.
Straight facts. So given that, you know, I love how you expressed like how you navigate all the complexities that I think even as just regular individuals, we struggle with social media. How do you then remain motivated to keep, you know, posting, sharing on TikTok, Instagram, and engage with the followers, as you've explained? Like, how do you, because it's easy to feel like, what's the point? Maybe one day the numbers aren't as great as the day before, or you know what I mean? Like, how do you keep going? Because it's easy to be like, I'm not getting the heat that I thought today. And then, you know.
And I think this is the difference between my group of social media influencers who came in during the pandemic, especially for me, who was like posting to basically no one, and other people who've probably been in social media for a little bit longer, is that the numbers, don't get me wrong, sometimes you do get an adrenaline rush, like when you're looking at like 3 million within 24 hours and you're like, this is insane. But the numbers ultimately do not matter. And I say that because I use my TikTok specifically as a place of just speaking to people. Like, my videos vary. Last time I made a video asking people what a certain light bulb was, because I didn't know the name of it. And I
saw that. I was like, girl.
And I was like, well, these are my people. Help me out. They told me the name of the light bulb.
People were telling you in the comments though, so it worked.
They were telling me. So I use it for like a number of things. And I think the good thing as well about TikTok is the algorithm pushes you to the people who are gonna like that specific video or your content or whatever. in terms of staying motivated, I think it's that thing, like I was saying, as much as the follower count scares me and like the more it goes up, I'm like, you know, panic.
Yes.
But I always have felt like I want to talk to people. I want to add to the conversation. I want to ask questions. I want to probe. I also want to make it light. Sometimes people are talking about something and it's so heavy on the internet. And I'm like, guys, like, let's lighten the mood a bit. Let's kiki, like, you know. And I remember, for example, when there was a certain school shooting that happened in America, and I made a video not about the school shooting, but about something else. It was very light, and I was very intentional about that video that I put out. And a lady DM'd me and was like, "Thank you so much. Like, I'm from this place, and it's really been difficult. We've been struggling, and your video really just like helped make me laugh for the day." Like stuff like that, I think keeps me going, keeps me motivated. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the older I get, the more I realize that also if I'm not enjoying it, if I'm not into it, I'm not going to force it.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
I will do what needs to be done, and you know,
our African parents would tell us to always love a humble woman. So we love that you're humble, but we have to give you your flowers, Sarel. You have built your brand. You have, you know, whether or not you want to call it that is something, but for us watching you, we're so proud. We're like, oh my gosh, like she's Zim. Like I always say, and she's Zim when I'm showing you TikTok, and she's Zim. And she's Zim. And she's like, you know, like, in case you didn't know. So I mean, so obviously on our podcast we also try to uplift and give advice to people when we have guests on, because we also realize the work you guys have done, you know, whether or not it feels that way to you. So how best do you think someone can build a brand over Instagram and TikTok? Like any advice you can give?
Any advice I can give? I'm trying not to make it generic in general. I would say when it comes to building a brand, you have to know who you are. And that seems like kind of like woo, like what does that mean? But like once you know who you are at your core, you find it's a lot easier to make certain decisions that will benefit you. There are many people who went into social media, who went into the arts, entertainment, at young ages or with a lot of counsel or not a lot of mentorship, and they lost their way because they too were finding out who they were along the way, which isn't a bad thing. But I think ultimately, if you are trying to build a brand, the thing that will get you there quicker is doing the work on self. And that helps you figure out what you're into, what you like, what you don't like. It helps you sort of map the way, figure out your goals. And also it cancels out the external voices, which are very loud sometimes. You know, people have an opinion on you. People have a lot to say. And sometimes by just being so sure in yourself, you can be like, no, I don't believe that. And you swat away the opinions. But I think it's hard. I think you just have to, you can't give up. That's the biggest advice. You can't give. And you know, the thing is, when people tell you not to give up, it's so easy because you're like, I have bills to pay. I'm still at school. I'm still studying. There's many external factors, but not giving up doesn't mean that you're constantly working every day. Not giving up is a mindset. That means every single day your mind has not given in for this dream. Whether or not you're working the 9 to 5, whether or not you're doing the studying, you're in your mind, you know that I have a goal and I'm going to reach my goal. At the moment, I'm doing this right now, but that doesn't mean that the goal and the dream dies. And that's what I mean by not giving up, because that power, that fire, that drive will get you to your goal ultimately. So I think that's the biggest advice I could give.
That's so dope. And I love that. It's in your mind. You've got to hold on to, because you know, sometimes it's only you who can see it. It's only you. You're just there by yourself. So, you know, you gotta have your own back. Thank you so much. And Sarel, we've talked a lot about, you know, social media, and, you know, I want to kind of veer into more of the other side of your work. You know, you said you're an actor. That's something you identify with as first. We'd love to hear from you, you know, what have been some of your, a career highlight for you, whether in acting or presenting. And I would also love to talk about your podcast with Candace Breathwaite. Did I say it right? I think I said it right. But yeah, if you can share a bit more about that, so people see that, you know, get to know a little more about that side of you.
Yeah. I mean, acting, like I said, that's been my baby. That's, you know, and I'm telling you now, ladies, let's just manifest it together. That Oscar is coming in the mighty.
I'm already ululating.
like, like that Oscar is coming.
Yeah.
But I think for me, one of the highlights in acting, I mean, I did theatre for many, many years, and it built such, like, theatre's hard. You build a muscle for it. You end up knowing exactly what you're doing, that when you step on set for a TV, film or whatever, you're very confident. You've got the backing, that, like, I've got the training, I've got the experience.
Yes.
I would say my one-woman show was definitely, like, insane, because
that's crazy. I can't even imagine doing
it was wild. And when I got the job, I literally, you know, when you just, you know, one of those moments when you fall to the ground and you just cry, because I was like, I can't, many actors work up to this their whole careers, like, this is pretty insane. So that was quite big. And then I did a TV series last year, which by the time this comes out, actually, it will be aired on, like, Sky Comedy.
We're doing happy dances if you're not watching.
So that was quite a big highlight, because, again, and I find it, and I don't know if this is the perfectionist in me, I find it so refreshing when I get jobs based off of, like, an audition. Like, I go in, you're picking me because I am the best in the room. I don't talk about my social media when I do acting. I don't want, and I know some people are like, oh, but it's a good way in. I hear that, but there's something about I believe in my source that much that I'm like, if you don't want me for my acting, I'm not the right person for that. And yeah, so when I go in and I get an audition, don't get me wrong though, I won't say no to a check if it comes to social media. Let me
we still want the bag. We still want the bag.
Let me just clarify again. I'm taking the check to the bank. Okay.
Approach me.
Exactly. But inside, I feel very proud of myself when I'm like, I got this based off of an audition. And there was like 3 rounds of audition for that one. So, you know, I'm going up against people who are like really good in this industry.
Yes.
So I think for acting, they're my 2 highlights. And then presenting's been wild. I got to interview Viola Davis.
We saw that. Oh, amazing.
When I
to breathe the same air.
Yeah.
When I tell you, she invited me to her house. They actually edited that bit out. But basically, no, let me tell you the story, girls. So basically,
tell us the story. Give us the tea.
Give us the tea. Yo, breaking on its layers.
Exactly. I asked her, because obviously Woman King is all about like women and like coming together and being strong. And I was like, what are some like qualities you look for in your tribe of women, right? Yes. And she's like listing all these things, like, I want women who uplift me, women who are funny. And at the end of it, I was like, well, Viola, it sounds like you're describing me, my love. She was like, what in common? Ma'am, do not play with me, because I will book my ticket right here, right there. And I'll come with my plate of bruvos. Don't play with me. I'm playing. Imagine Viola Davis eating bruvos.
Imagine she'd be like, sister.
Yeah. No, but she's been to the continent, and
she has. And they filmed it. So
they filmed it in essay. Yeah.
Yeah, she probably has actually.
Yeah,
she'll be like, this takes me back. But yeah, no, that was a huge highlight. Like, I'm always very inspired by whoever I meet, and I take inspiration from like the big and quote unquote the small. It's never really small, but you know, I take inspiration from that, and I just feel like the reason why I'm constantly like a child who's always like, wow, is because every time I meet someone, it's never a case of like, oh, this has got old. Like, are you crazy? Like, I used to live in like a little tiny 1-bed flat in London. I could barely pay my bills. Like, one time I had no money, that I had birthday cake for like 4 days for dinner. Like, I kid you not. Like, I know where I've come from. So when I get those moments where I'm like talking to people and interacting, I'm like, this is cool. This
huge.
Is like, let's not dilute this. Like, I know you lot are used to talking to the big dogs, but like, this is big for me, you know? So yeah, there's quite a lot of achievements, but they're the ones that like stick out to me that I'm like, oh, thank the Lord. Won't he do it?
He will.
I love that honesty from you, because I think a lot of times when you meet people who are content creators, they make it seem like, yeah, you know, I just met Viola Davis the other day, like as if it's like, and I'm like, ish, I would be like dying, you know. So I love that you're honest about it. Like it's okay to recognize it as a big moment.
Yeah, I will never downplay, like, I don't know, and also like Viola Davis is like a huge, like, I mean, I've been watching her since I was a kid. Like, she's a huge inspiration to me. But yeah, I feel like downplaying it, and that's what makes a lot of people then take for granted the stuff that the opportunities they get, because you've kind of reached all the heights of success that you feel are successful. That when you do the stuff that you think is like not on your level, quote unquote, you start being like, it's just Viola. Let me tell you something. Whether it's a Viola or it's my grandmother's best friend, I'm a freak out. If I've been inspired by that person, regardless, I'm gonna freak out. Like, that to me is like, you get inspiration from all these people. Like, I can't downplay that for me. It's just it's been awesome, but boy, oh boy, oh boy,
we cannot wait to see, because we know you're just going to be doing more and more, not even to put pressure, but you know, you're Zimbabwean, we have to put the pressure.
Have to.
Keep going, you know. So like, yeah, I think it's just beautiful to have seen your growth, to have seen you helped us survive lockdowns. You took us through lockdowns, out of lockdowns. Now we're in Love Island UK. I know more about Love Island UK than the Australian version because of you. I'm like, okay, Tanya, what's Tanya up to? Let me check with Sarel so she can give me the 411. So it's like, you know. So, you know, I really, really do commend all the beautiful work you do. And I know sometimes in the creative industry, especially, you feel isolated and like, who really cares? And trust me, we do. You know, we're here for you, we're rooting for you. To see a beautiful Black woman like yourself doing all the things you're doing is so inspiring. So we really have loved having you on our podcast. It's really been amazing.
Thank you guys so much. I've loved it. And yeah, shout out to you guys, because it's not easy. I've just started the podcast world, and let me tell you something, y'all work. Okay, this is hard work. So shout out to you guys, and I can't wait to come back. I'm already manifesting it.
Yes, of course. Anytime you want, you can just pop on over.
Call us.
Next time it'll be in person, because Australia must see me.
Yes. We manifestations. We like, you can stay. You can, yes, please do. Are there any other projects you want to share with us? I mean, I know obviously you said some are coming later in the year, but anything you're free and welcome to share with us.
And your socials as well. Yeah.
Oh yes. So socials, Coco Sarel on everything: Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Podcast, Closet Confessions, which I can't wait for you guys to hear season 2. Like, we've got so many big plans for it. And just we'll see each other like in the comment section or in a DM or something. We'll see each other.
Yeah, that's if you're reading that day. That's if you're reading.
Exactly. Comment number 1.
Yes. Now we know. Set alert for Sarel.
The
first. Exactly.
Thank you so much. This has been so heartwarming. It feels like we're talking to a girlfriend, like just kikiing. And as Amanda said it all, we are rooting for you, and we support you wholeheartedly for the true essence of who you are is who you are on screen, but also as an individual. And it's so refreshing to see. And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of It's Layered. As always, hit us up. It's Layered on Instagram. It's Layered Pod on Twitter. Is Twitter even still a thing anymore? I mean, what's his name killed it for us, but move. Or you can email us. It's layeredpod@gmail.com. Thank you again, Sarel. Thank you, Amanda. And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.